Hi guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to make a drum rack. The purpose of a drum rack is to make it flexible for you to switch up between all of your kicks, all of your snares, all of your hi-hats and any other percussive sounds you may have simply by turning a macro control. Okay, so let's get more into that. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is mute the track we made earlier with the slices just for now. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to right click and then I'm going to insert a new MIDI track. All right. Then the next step is to drag a drum rack into the MIDI track. So we need to go into instruments here and then go to drum rack and then we drag and drop it into the MIDI channel. Okay. Now you will see the drum rack appears down here. Okay, starting from C1. All the different pads. Okay, now what we need to do, we need to drop a sampler instrument into C1. We're going to have all the kicks come through on C1. All right, so we need to go to sampler and we need to drag and drop sampler into C1 pad or onto C1 pad like that, and you will see the sampler appear here, but we need to click on the zone page. All right. Now the zone page, this is where you drag and drop all of your drum sounds. So we need to go into your finder and then I'm going to find all my kicks that I've got on my computer and then I'm going to highlight all the kicks like this and then I'm going to drop it into the sampler zone like that. Okay. So now I have all my kicks coming through on C1 pad. All right. The next stage now, we need to select. So at the moment, all the kicks are playing together at the same time when I press the keyboard. All right, which is what we don't want. So let me go back into it. Oops. All right, there we go. Yeah. So at the moment, all the kicks are playing together at the same time, which we don't want. All right, so we need to select all of these kicks, okay, by clicking the select button here, and then we need to right click on them and we need to distribute ranges equally. Okay, so now you'll see this will put each kick on its own particular value from 0 to 127. All right. So the maximum amount of sounds you can put in any zone is 128. So that so it goes from 0 to 127. Okay, so that's 128 sounds you can actually play. So over here you'll see an orange tab here. This is actually it's called a chain selector. This will determine which kick will be playing when you strike the C1 pad. So the next step now is to right click the chain selector, okay, and you will see a menu box come up, and what we need to do, we need to map these kicks to macro 1, which is here, like that. Now you'll see macro 1 appear down here in your drum rack. So the next stage now, we want to name that. So we need to right click on the macro and rename, and we're going to call that kicks. Okay, so for each turn of the macro knob here, it would select a different kick, as you can see here. All right, so as we're building a track, as we're building a pattern or drum loop, we can audition different sounds, switching up between different kicks and snares as we go along to try and see what works with what. All right. Okay, so the next stage now is to repeat the whole process once more. Okay, so we need to click on the C#1 pad here. Okay, we need to go into instruments. We need to drag and drop the sampler into instruments like that, into C#1 pad, and the sampler will appear. Make sure you click on the zone page. Okay, we go to our Finder. Alright, we go to the folder. I've got a folder here of all different snares. So I'm going to highlight all my snares. And then I'm going to drag and drop the snares into C#1 zone. Okay, so now you see all the snares. But what I'm going to do, because actually you can actually add up to 128 sounds at any one time. Okay, so with these snares, I'm actually going to add some claps as well. So I'm going to add these to those as well, and then I think that will do for now. Okay, so I've got some claps and I've got some snares in this zone. All right. So again, we need to go to where it says selector. Okay, we need to right click, distribute ranges equally. Okay, and then we need to right click on the orange tab, which is your chain selector, and we need to map to macro 2. Okay, so we noticed before we mapped the kicks to macro 1 and we renamed it kicks. So now we're going to map these claps and snares to macro 2. All right, and you'll see it will appear here, down here, and we're going to rename macro 2 by right clicking on it, rename, and then we're going to call it claps and snares. Claps, snares. Enter. All right, so now we've got the claps and snares, and we can turn the macro knob and we can see that it's selecting all the different snares here like that. Okay, and we repeat the whole process again. This time we're going to click on the D1 pad, and then we're going to go into instruments, and then we're going to go drag and drop sampler into D1 pad. This will bring up the sampler. Click the zone page, go into your Finder, look for, this time I'm going to add some shakers. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 shakers. I'm going to add those, drop that into the zone. We're going to go over here, click select, right click, distribute ranges equally, and then we're going to right click again on the chain selector, which is the orange tab. We're going to map to macro 3. So macro 1 is the kicks, macro 2 is the claps and snares, macro 3 is the shakers. All right, so you will see macro 3 will appear here. We highlight it, we click on it, and we right click on it because we're going to rename it, and we're going to call it shakers. All right, enter. Okay, and what we're going to do as well is, yeah, we're going to go to another pad, D#1, which is down here. We're going to go into instruments, we're going to go to sampler, we're going to drag and drop sampler into D#1 pad, like that. It will bring up the sampler. Make sure you click the zone page. We're going to go into our Finder. I'm going to pick these little Todd Edwardsy percussion sounds. We're going to highlight them, and then I'm going to drop them into the zone there. And also, yeah, I think that would do. And then, yeah, we're going to select, press the select button, right click, distribute range equally, right click on the orange tab. We're going to map to macro 4. Okay, click on macro 4, right click, rename. We're going to call that percussion or percussion. Okay, so at the moment we've got the kick macro, we've got the claps and snares macro, we've got the shakers macro, and we've got the percussion macro. All right. The other, okay, so we're going to go to E1 pad now. We're going to put some hi-hats in. So we're going to click on pad E1, and then we're going to go to instruments again, and then we're going to find sampler, drag and drop sampler into E1 pad. Make sure you click on the zone page again. We're going to go into our finder, and then I'm going to look for the hi-hats I've got here. All of these sounds I'm going to make available for you to download, so you can use these sounds, you know, for free. These are my personal sounds, which I think, you know, I think you'll find them quite useful for when you're doing your tracks. Okay, so we're going to go into the hi-hats folder. There's quite a few here, so I've got 27. No, so yeah, we've got 20 close hi-hats. So I'm going to drag all 20 close hi-hats, and then I'm going to drag them into the zone. Okay, and then I'm going to click select, right click, distribute range equally, right click on the orange tab, the chain selector here. Then we're going to map that to macro 5. All right, so we're going to click on macro 5 here, right click, rename. These are the closed hi-hats, so rename it closed hats. Yep, enter. Now we're going to click on F1 pad, go to instruments, look for sampler, drag and drop sampler into F1. Sampler will appear. Click the zone page, go to your finder. Now I'm going to drag and drop 127 of my open hi-hats. Just drop that in there like that, and click select one more time, right click, distribute ranges equally, right click on the orange tab, and then map to macro 6. All right, we'll go down to macro 6, we right click, rename it, open hi-hats, open hats. And that is pretty much it now. So what I'm going to do, just to show you a demonstration of how it can work, I am going to create a MIDI clip. All right, here. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to insert a MIDI clip. As you can see, we have the kick track, the snare track, the shakers track, the Toddy Edwardsy percussion track, the closed hi-hats track, the open hats track. Okay, so I'm going to make a simple pattern over 4 bars. So I'll go down here, I increase the length to 4 bars here, and then I'm just going to draw them in. I'm going to right click on my mouse here, and then I'm going to put it into draw mode. Okay, that brings up the draw tool, and I'm just going to draw these kicks in like this. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, I'm just gonna close the range down a bit using that. Yeah, okay. So yeah, got the kick. And then I'm going to draw in some snares, which comes on the 2 and the 4. And then I'm going to drop in a closed hi-hat. There, 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 and there. Okay. Let me just get rid of the draw tool. So I'm going to right click and just uncheck draw tool. And I'm going to play the clip. Okay, so we've got the simple grooves going on here. I'm going to show you how to audition the different sounds that we've created with the drum rack. Okay, so if I go into, if I click the drum, bring up the drum rack, I'm going to play the clip. I'm going to go into our macros. I'm going to turn the kick drum macro knob, and you'll notice okay. I can do the same with the claps and the snares. Okay. We've got some close hi-hats, messing around with that.